Chyba jesteśmy w komplecie, a więc
I
rozpoczynamy.
believe it's time to resume and to fulfill the last point on our agenda. And we are going to hold a debate which will sum up all the inputs of the last 2 days. The debate is entitled "The Future of Professional Digital Skills Training." The debate will be moderated by Łukasz Sienkiewicz of Gdańsk University of Technology, and the speakers are Katarzyna Olszewska of the Academy of Applied Sciences in Elbląg, Dorota Wrzesinska, Mining and Energy School Complex of Stanisław Staszic in Konin, and Katarzyna Ćwiąkała of School Complex number 2 of Stanisław Konarski in Bochnia. Thank you so much. Before we start, I would like to present our panelists, introduce them to you, and to explain why they are sitting on the panel, because they are true VET experts. So starting from my left, Katarzyna Ćwiąkała, methodology advisor at the county center in Brzesko. She is a practical subject teacher at the school complex in Bochnia. She has extensive professional experience of working in photogrammetric and geodetical companies. She's a member of examination board, or author of examination materials, and the coach and expert in vocational education and training. Also, EVET experts. Yes, you are right. Dorota Wrzesinska has graduated from the School of Economics in Poznań. She is a teacher of economic subjects and a teaching consultant at in-service teacher training in Konin. She is a member of examination board, a coach, trainer. She has been awarded the medal from the Ministry of Education, and she also has been the teacher of 2023, the best teacher, and EVET expert. And last but not least, Katarzyna Olszewska, doctor in social sciences, and who works at the Academy of Applied Sciences in Elbląg. She is also on an EVET team and appointed teacher, and she teaches vocational subjects at the school in Elbląg. She also sits on an examination board and EVET expert. So you are now well familiar with you have met our panelists, and now I would like to outline our debate. We are going to discuss not only about the current state, but also talk about the future and the development of digital competences in Poland, or in the system of education across Europe, in Poland as well. And we will discuss how it is right now. So I want to know, how do you assess the current situation? What is the status of VET and digital skills in Poland? What are the biggest challenges at different levels of education in Poland? Because you represent different levels of education. Who would like to start? Let me start. I believe that today's meeting and conversation is a conclusion to the last 2 days, and talking about digital competences and skills. And I would like to remind you that digital skills in VET is more than knowledge and subject skills, but this is the bond, and this is this underwater part of the iceberg, which is not visible, but these competences make us combined knowledge, approaches, and skills, and also self-image and the way of thinking. Last but not least, the better digital, the more advanced digital competencies you hold, the better job you can have. The better job you have, the better paid it is. And the better remuneration is also an element of a better life. And we as teacher educators, we need to shape digital skills not only by the content we teach, but also how we teach. So let me briefly introduce the current situation of the training of vocational digital skills. So let me relate to my professional experience of working at secondary technical school. Kasia will probably talk about higher education. So, first of all, our students acquire a lot of theoretical knowledge, so they get to know definitions of programming or graphical design. Obviously, we also shape practical skills, and our secondary school students learn how to use professional software used in a given occupation or profession. So it will be computational software or graphic software in our case. And at this level, education and training includes programming, languages and techniques, and also digital security and personal data protection. And sometimes we have projects as part of which students solve different projects. They analyze certain information using their digital skills, but they are few and far between, and obviously there are many challenges. So let me relate to the second part of the question, the challenges. Well, right now we face many challenges in education, and the main ones that we can identify are staff shortages, competency shortages, lack of training for teachers concerning digital skills. Obviously, we have a project Enter lesson, but it is not sufficient what we are offered. So shortages in core curricula and individual subject curricula. Yes, we are upgrading our skills, but technology is progressing even faster. So what we need is to cooperate more with business and industry, because it is them who hold these skills, digital skills, and cooperation with them is very beneficial to us and very helpful, and it allows us to better prepare students for entering the labor market. What else can I say? Inequality in access to digital skills. So there are certain regions at schools where you have limited access to digital technology, which is probably related to funds and funding. But in order to offer quality education and training, and in order to have learning outcomes digital in terms of digital skills, we need to have infrastructure, adequate infrastructure. When you shape digital competences, we teachers, we are goalkeepers. You need to have an eye on everything and to be a step ahead in order to make sure that information students get are limited, sourced, So you need to be up to date with all the developments. I believe this is very difficult, especially if we come back to the presentation by Dr. Sabo, because teachers are digital immigrants, and we have students who are digital natives, who feel very comfortable with using technology, especially digital technology. And how is the situation like in higher education? Well, I can only agree with my predecessors, but those students who already have certain digital competences enter higher education. Obviously, everything depends on the programs they choose and infrastructure on offer. But taking into consideration higher education, I represent a higher education institution with practical profile, so we focus on practical skills. We have adequate software that we use. We cooperate with business, and we shape digital competences from practical point of view. But the situation looks differently depending on a region. I represent a small institution. I come from a relatively small locality, but when you take into consideration larger hubs and larger academic centers where you have more students and you have study programs that are sponsored by business, there the competences are much higher level. Dorota has also mentioned teachers. Both secondary school and academic teachers need to continue their education and upgrade their skills, both digital ones and other. We need to continue our education. We need in-service training. So if there is a will and if there is an offer to upgrade our skills, and if we cooperate with business, well, we can do it, because we need to catch up with the modern progress of technology. And I believe that people like us, that there will be more of us, and then we can assure quality education. Thank you so much. So coming back to the iceberg metaphor, is this iceberg of digital education drifting in an unknown direction? So is the shaping of digital skills and competences future-proof? So do we know our direction, or do we just drift in an unknown direction? So what is your experience? Do you know any good practice examples in the scope? Because we shouldn't focus on negativity. Maybe there is something we have to boast about, or you can boast about, and what we should change in order to adapt better for the future. So let us not be a Titanic that is heading towards this iceberg. So coming back to the iceberg. So vocational digital skill shaping is being consistently adapted to future challenges. I believe there are many areas that have already been mentioned or touched upon that need to be updated and upgrading, and we need constant focus on. So let us focus on positives, because you have asked about the strengths, our strengths. So I believe that this challenging time of a pandemic and remote education was a starting point for positive trends, because new digital resources have been built, like e-materials, especially for vocational education and training, or teaching specialist foreign languages. So here I'm talking about integrated education platform, and this time we, as teachers and students, were forced to use various tools, apps like Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, just in order to have virtual classrooms, to have assignments, digital assignments, and we have used them for group communication. So let me appeal to all of us that we shouldn't give up on that. Obviously, we have come back to traditional way of teaching, and we are very happy about it. But it is like with dieting. If you go back to your old bad habits, there will be no success. So it is really important to continue using these tools and just make students aware that they need them and they are not going anywhere. So let me mention one more area that needs to be updated. Obviously, there are many other, and my colleagues will probably talk about them as well, but let me focus on soft skills, and there are consistent upgrading or updating. Because the future challenges will call for the use of both hard skills and soft skills, like creativity, communication, cooperation, or teamwork, problem solving, or analytical skills. And I believe that these skills will help us to use digital skills in a creative way and productive way, especially in the view of AI development, because what is left will be creativity. And I feel really inspired, and I can talk from my experience. So when we had the pandemic and the lockdown, I said I wouldn't give lectures online. I will just wait until it is over, because I thought that online classes are so absurd. I was so used to interaction, and face-to-face contact. I said, well, it's just 2 weeks. I can wait until it's over. But you can be very, very wrong. And this is really inspiring, that you can learn from challenges or based on challenges. And today, these classes are no longer a problem. Remote classes are no longer a problem for me, and I continue teaching them this way. The world is changing, and we need to adapt to it. In Chinese, crisis has two meanings. It's an opportunity and threat. So it's up to you how you interpret the challenge. So let me add something about the pandemic, because it is true that not only higher education teachers, but anyone who was willing to educate online, we were really surprised with the access that we had to laptops, to using software. So it was the right time to learn new tools, to acquire new skills. And as of now, we have been able to modify study programs. Maybe it is not that possible in secondary education, but at the tertiary level, it has really stayed with us that some classes are taught online, and this is a big relief, especially for part-time students who do no longer need to come to classes. And the variety of tools that we can use while teaching, and we also develop soft skills while using this technology. And although we do not have face-to-face contact, still remote education allows for that and allows for shaping those skills. So we are really doing our best to use the tools that are at hand. We know the challenge, we know what we can do to face it, and we know how to develop, and we are looking forward to new developments. However, we will not get surprised, I believe.
Let me start by referring to what Łukasz said. You wanted to wait, but I had a different experience. My students told me that I behaved as if a fairy tale, because as a fortune teller, really, because I taught them how to use Teams just before the pandemic. So they asked me if I had any leaks that this change was coming. Well, we mentioned a crystal ball yesterday. Maybe you had one. Well, remember Arabella's magic ring from the old movie? Well, I had no leaks, no crystal ball, no magic ring. But I want to refer to what you said, Łukasz, about artificial intelligence. Well, it's very fashionable to mention ChatGPT, and people say that a lot of plagiarism will appear, that it's wrong because chat will do homework for students. Well, that's false. It's a new technology. We have to take advantage of it. We can choose the best that it offers. If it's helpful, if it supports us, if it helps teachers in conducting classes in a better way, in a more efficient work, well, let's test it. If it's something that works for me, why not use it? Well, students let me use an analogy. Teachers act as goalkeepers. We can have a meeting with students. We can discuss ChatGPT. We can discuss the new technologies with our students. Let's start there. Let's not start by saying that's a wrong thing to use, that it will cause cheating on homework and that bots will replace students. That's wrong. That's not like it is. I focus on moving forward, and let's give it a try. Let's test it before we issue an opinion whether it works or not. I would like to go back to the best practices. Well, best practices, it's great cooperation with employers, especially in case of practical skills. We are teaching students practical skills, and if our curricula are fit to what the market expects, we are able to provide employers with qualified prospective employees. And we do our best to achieve that. It's not easy, it's not simple, because the entire curriculum needs to be approved by a Senate of the Schools of Higher Education. If it's a new program, it needs to be submitted for a verification by the ministry. But in order to change something quickly, as part of an innovation, we are able to change, I believe, 30% of a curriculum. And then such change, under 30%, it's not big enough, and it can be done during a school year. So best practices mean great cooperation, good economic environment, and I would like to say something about internships. We collect a lot of data and information and a lot of feedback, which tells us if we educate our students the right way. Maybe they need something else. So we need to have continuous education, exchange of information to be able to prepare the young professionals in an effective way. Well, you don't need me anymore, ladies. Okay, so I'd like to go back to what you said. Our students take part in internships and vocational practical training, and it's our role as teachers to direct them to contact companies which use digital technologies. That's crucial. Only then are students able to test their skills in a real digital working environment and acquire this precious experience. Okay, I would like to mention Erasmus Plus program for vocational schools, which is super necessary, and it's a great support for us because students are able to take trips and see how these technologies are applied in other countries. They can exchange opinions, comments. They can see how it works elsewhere. So it's a great experience, an important experience, and also cooperation with domestic or regional or even local businesses are a very valuable experience and a great opportunity to get a better job later on. I think the young people do not even need to be convinced that they need digital skills because they see how useful it is in practice and that this is what the market expects. Okay, let's play fortune tellers, or let's think about the future without a crystal ball. If you were able to shape the educational system, the vocational education system in terms of digital competencies, any way you like, what would you like to make more efficient? What would you like to recommend? Forget the limitations that are in place. What should be done with the system so that professional future of our young students is secured? Well, we talked about updating curricula. I would add, as a recommendation, introducing interdisciplinary teaching programs. So what I mean programs that incorporate different areas of science, social sciences, technology, engineering, business. I think that's very useful to provide a holistic education for students so that they can use their skills in the digital environment. So that's my first recommendation. My second recommendation, and maybe that will be repetitious, it's to work on soft skills. We need to pay a lot of attention to creative approach to digital technologies, and that's a very important direction to me. And what can we add? I believe training, continuous training, it's the essential thing. If we are provided with the right knowledge and tools, if we are trained, then we can work effectively and we can offer great support to the young people, and we can act as masters, as master teachers, and that's very valuable. Cooperation, complete, comprehensive cooperation with entrepreneurs, with business, is also something that is a great opportunity. We need to develop it and move. If we are not allowed to access one door, we should knock on another. Okay, let me mention one more thing. I'd like to refer to what you mentioned, to be a master teacher. I have some doubts. When I look at digital skills of young people, they're actually better than digital skills of teachers. So maybe we should go away from the tutoring reliant model to a mentoring reliant model. Maybe we are just working on a wrong assumption, the assumption that we teach them. So let me just provoke a discussion. Well, in my case and in Katarzyna's case, because we work in vocational technical schools, this is not so. The lower level of education, elementary school, children use games, smartphones, and it's their natural environment. In technical schools, in vocational schools, it's not quite so, because students are skilled in using Facebook, social media, Twitter, and so on. But, for instance, Excel or calculation sheet, that's tricky. For instance, they tell me, how come you do it so quickly? Or where do I click to achieve this or that, or what is a tab, or keyboard shortcuts. I can say that this is still a mystery for some of our students. So maybe, and that's my great hope, that the elementary school youngsters, they will just use Excel as their natural environment. They will no longer use their notebooks. I already believe that notebooks and taking traditional notes is no longer useful. So it would be great if schools could afford tablets, iPads, or laptops for students, and then also this interdisciplinary approach would be easier, because we could combine it with art, business, IT. That would be excellent. But I have one more issue that I want to raise, and I would recommend changing the situation. I would recommend shifting to modular teaching, smaller groups, because big classes of students are not working well. Also, teachers who work based on modules, for instance, math teachers, they could leave classrooms. They could show something digital. You see now, a teacher has 45 minutes. They have to check the list of attendance. They have to log to the electronic logbook. They have to, comply with all the formal requirements. And then they have to connect the students to all kinds of technologies. And it's math. It's the dominant subject. So imagine the teacher is able to start after 20 minutes have passed. So the teacher asks themselves a question, whether they should use the technologies, or maybe they should just quickly solve a math problem on the blackboard, because they only get 45 minutes. So it would be great if teachers had their own classroom. They had their own laptop. Their kids would have tablets, and then it would be excellent. Well, that's a dream scenario. And schools would have all the equipment on site. Children would not have to carry heavy backpacks. Well, maybe in the future that's possible. Łukasz, I agree with what you said. We need students with sound digital skills. Most students are prepared to use different types of tools, but I believe our future should focus on not limiting our students and not, in a way, retarding our students' skills, but allowing them to develop their also digital consequences. And this is why we have extracurricular classes. We have different organizations, and this is where students are able to either develop their skills or actually help other students, and that's amazing. For instance, there are many students who do not bring paper notebooks to class. They just bring tablets and they take electronic notes. And actually, most academic teachers give access to their presentations, so that students do not just have to technically copy a text, but they can focus on having a discussion, a dialogue, and drawing conclusions, so that they develop logical thinking skills. If we top it with modern tools, the digital competencies will keep evolving. So if we, as schools, teachers, career advisors, will catch up with what the world offers, there will be no problems. And believe me, young people are great. They are, yes, I confirm that they are great, and they are very well prepared. And if we have some lacking knowledge, or for instance lacking skills, we the teachers, we should not hide it. We should be willing to learn from our students, and then students will feel more motivated to share. And but I believe that openness and willingness to get education will reinforce digital skills, because this is what the future will rely on. That may be scary, but that will make our lives easier. Well, that's inevitable. When I analyze schools of higher education, I feel students are terrified when asked to get a piece of paper rather than asked to use some technology. Okay, the time is short, but there is one more thing I would like to mention. We have a group of people here, or actually a majority of people, who are career advisors or who work with the youth. And let's now do some role playing. Imagine you have a student who comes to ask you what they should learn in terms of digital technologies. What is the future? What should they invest their time in? Well, first of all, young people should learn and should be familiar with some basic concepts in digital technology, and then select the area that they would like to get education in and go deeper and master their skills so that they can target the labor market. So in other words, they should not try to learn everything, because that's too many, but select a specific area which is relevant to that student, and then develop, grow, improve their qualifications in that given area. That's crucial. And let me briefly refer to what was mentioned before. I completely agree with the fact that the young people are great. They're fantastic. They are very willing to do things, and just because they don't know things, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. They're asking questions, and for instance, they appreciate the fact that we know. They want to know more. We really have great experience with the students of vocational technical schools, and I'm very proud of them. I don't think they have any lacking knowledge or knowledge gaps. Whenever we see we need to reinforce teaching, we just do the job. But as I said before, let's keep training and let's not kill their curiosity. Exactly. Okay, I only have 2 recommendations. I know that the time is running. My first recommendation is collect your digital projects and your success stories and prepare a digital portfolio. Then you will be able to present your skills and abilities to your prospective employer, and that might secure you a job. And the second recommendation, I believe it was not mentioned, take care of yourself, about your good habits. We know what happened during the pandemic, what home office has done to our mental health. So learn to deal with emergency situations, and it's good to be able to regenerate in contact with digital technology. And I would like to refer to Professor Rosalska's yesterday's presentation. Well, we should diagnose students with specific needs, and let's diagnose their specifically what they need, what is available, what are their interests, what is a possible career path, and let's allow for such students' development in their direction. That's my recommendation. If we are great career advisors, if we are great lecturers or great teachers, we need to listen to our students and teach them to be open. In many situations, students are afraid of asking questions, although Dorota said it's not longer the case. Let's teach them to be open. Let's teach them to ask questions and to reach for what they need. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're a great panelist. I believe we could continue, but digital technology indicates that the debate is over. over. So thank you for your inspiring comments, which help us search for solutions or conclusions in the educational system. I think there is a lot we can do. So let's stay courageous in implementing those ideas in everyday life. Thank you so much. Thank you, Katarzyna Olszewska, Dorota Wrzesinska, Katarzyna Ćwiąkała, and again, Łukasz Sienkiewicz. Thank you all for holding the debate, which was the last session, the last item on today's agenda. Summing up, I would like to speak to the internet audience. This is a small, actually friendly group, and we know that this cozy ambience, cozy atmosphere is favorable. The organizers told me that there is high probability we'll continue with this initiative, and that the Vocational Education Forum, Europass, Euroguidance will be organized in the future. Let's hope this is the case, and I would like to invite you to all events organized by the National Europass and Euroguidance Center and the National VET team. So please check the upcoming events and the upcoming programs, and I hope to see you in the future, both on-site and online. And the third Vocational Education Forum, Europass, Euroguidance, is nearly finished. Let me remind you, certificates available for you at the reception desk. You are authorized. You have a right to collect your certificate. And last but not least, we offer lunch. You're invited to lunch. You know where it is at Meet and Eat on the ground floor, and then take a flight of take the stairs one floor up. Michał, are you still with us? There's just one more thing. I just remembered, I don't even know when my master's diploma is, because I don't think I collected it from the university, because I have not provided my university with a current picture. But I hope I get a badge for my speaker's activity. Enjoy the meal.